Hey there, so today on our PowerShell videos here, we're going to be going over variables and basic math and their basic math operators. So let's start off with variables. To create a variable, you're going to start it off with the $sign. That defines a variable, and then what follows it is the name that you give it. So let's say $X, and then we're going to assign a value to that. Now remember, your variable goes on the left and then your value on the right. So here we're going to add a string, hello, and then we're going to echo. We're going to see what's in it first, and then we can actually echo that, of course, hello. Now, we can also put an integer in there. So x equals 1. And now let's say we do that with y. So y equals 1. Now what is y plus, or x plus y? It equals 2. So as you see, we could do basic math this way. Whoops, that is not what I meant to do. I meant to do a minus. So x minus y is 0. Now you can also reassign new values to these variables. So y equals 100 and x equals 234. And now we can do the same arithmetic here. X minus y is 134. X plus y is 334. Now you can see where I'm getting at with this. Then you have x divided by y is 2.34. Then you can do, oh, wrong one. Meant to do that there. Ooh. And that gives you the remainder. So x, which, what did we say x was? 234 divided by y. Well, y goes into x 2 times, and the remainder is 34. And that's the answer there. To give you an easier, whoops, let's not change the values there. So we could do it smaller numbers here. So x equals 3, and then y equals 1, not 1, 2. Okay. And then we do the same equation here. X and then y, the remainder is 1. We can also do multiplication here. So let's say x equals 5, and then y equals 6, and then of course x times y is 30. So now you've learned to do some basic addition, division, subtraction using variables and integers. Now let's say we wanted to do increments, or we wanted to add to the current variable. So in this case, x has the value of 5. So if we take x plus equal 1, what that's saying is that you're going to add the value to the current value of x. So now when we look at x, it's incremented by 1. We could do the same thing here. We can add now 4, and so it should be 10 now. We can also do the same thing with x plus equal y. And so we can, whoops, that was backwards. We can now add the value of y to x and assign it that new value. So for instance, when we did the x times y and it equaled 30, so let's reassign the values, the original values to these. So here you have x equals 5 and y equals 6. Now let's say that we want to multiply x times y, and then of course it's going to equal 30, but we want that value to be assigned to x without just having to go and say, okay, x equals 30. What we can do is we can take x and then multiply equals y, hit enter. So what that is doing is it's going to x, so we're assigning the value of this equation, so x times y assigned to x. That's the way it was explained to me, that's how I'm explaining it to you. So now if we look at the value of x, it now equals 30. So we've assigned the output of that equation back into x, and we could do it again. So we can say, whoops, x divided assigned by y, and that should put it back to 5. And there we go. So now these are different ways that you can manipulate your variables. Now the same thing works with strings. So let's now assign a string to x. So we're going to say hello, and then we're going to assign let's say a string to no, you know what, let's leave it like that. So we have x and we want to add to x instead of reassigning a value. So we're going to add plus here, and then we are going to add a space. Okay, and we're going to add that. And now when we look at x, as you can see, it now has added the I'm John portion to hello, and it reassigned that to the value of x. Now, if we were to do the same thing, but we were to add this, what do you think will happen? An error. Because it is not an integer, it cannot be manipulated the same way. Now, if we were to do this, that's different. Here, you are not multiplying by a string, but you are multiplying by an integer. And what it does is now you have the string repeated twice. And we could do that 3 times, 4 times, however many times. So once again, hello, I'm John. And then we can add more to it. We're going to add a space. And then we're going to give it y. As you can see, I can put a variable within my string, and then we're going to assign that to x. So that value of y will be there in that spot of the string because it is enclosed in quotes. So now, if we view x, hello, I'm John. My favorite number is 6. So quick recap. So far, we have learned how to create variables, how to assign values to those variables, how to manipulate those to either create different sentences, add more append to the string, assign a string with another variable within that string. We have learned how to do basic arithmetic, all with these variables. And we've also learned how to reassign the output of an equation back to the to a variable. All right, well, I hope this quick video on PowerShell variables was helpful. Please subscribe down below and definitely leave comments with feedback. I am always looking to improve as I am learning just as you are. Y'all have a good night.